Before anyone talks about shielding, mapping, or harassment, there's a first moment. Not always painful. Just strange. A quiet heat. A tingling. A subtle pull toward alertness. And often, it's dismissed. Because that's how these systems work. They begin below the threshold of certainty. But not below the threshold of effect. Today's episode explains how early adaptive signal systems initiate contact, and why the early stage is not random, it's conditioning.
UMAC 701 describes the initial phase of adaptive systems as non-injurious, variable, and stimulus sampling. This means the signal is present. It moves. But it doesn't push. It probes. Think of it like sonar, not a strike, but a pulse. It's testing how you respond. Where you shift. Whether you wake up, move your leg, turn your head. This gives the system a baseline. Establishing target behavioral drift begins with passive discomfort. UMAC 702. That's the tech. But how it feels is different.
It didn't feel like an attack. It felt like the air changed. First it was a tickle under my foot. Then a warmth at the base of my spine. Then gone. Days later, back. But somewhere else. I chalked it up to posture, old wires, a hot water pipe. But part of me knew, this didn't used to happen.
And that's what makes the early stage so effective. It doesn't announce itself. It invites self-blame. Discomfort is only data if the subject believes it has meaning. UMAC 703. If the signal is gentle, and you doubt yourself, you're unlikely to act and very unlikely to document. Which makes you an ideal subject.
In behavioral terms, this is called a non-aversion induction phase. You're being exposed to discomfort, but not enough to flee. Just enough to notice, and then doubt. Why is this so effective? Because if the system escalated too fast, you'd seek help, demand answers, or build defense. Instead, it starts by letting you provide the denials. Target skepticism during signal acquisition is predictive of successful loop formation. UMAC 701.
The most common dismissal is, it could be anything. And that's true, if it happened once. But these systems don't act once. They operate persistently over time. If discomfort appears in the same locations, at similar times, and reacts to your shielding or movement, then it's not anything. It's something. And in engineering, repetition with adaptive response is never called coincidence. It's called signal intelligence.
I didn't want to say anything. Even to myself. Because once you say it, you're responsible for it. And if you're wrong, you sound paranoid. But I knew. Somewhere between night 3 and night 10, I knew. And I still stayed silent.
That silence is part of the system. It trains you not just physically, but socially. So that when things escalate, you're already trained not to speak.
In the next episode, MBQ 0.3, the diagnostic spiral, we look at what happens next when someone tries to explain what's happening and gets pulled into the quiet loop of failed help, bad advice, and stigma.